Howdy, and welcome back into this week's episode of the Back of the End Zone podcast. It's essentially, like you said earlier, Bryant, season 2, episode 2, with Back of the End Zone back. It's almost like we're rebranding this series with Back of the End Zone. And we've got some good stuff this week. Obviously, this past weekend was Rivalry weekend. There was a lot of stuff going on in the coaching carousel as well. We've
My
got the
goodness, it was
yeah,
crazy.
seriously. And then now we've got conference championships this weekend. And after this upcoming weekend, the college football playoff bracket is going to be set. So it's a big week for college football. This past weekend was even bigger. And Bryant, what did you like about this weekend?
I would say the coaching carousel was more entertaining than the games, and there were some good games, but just on Sunday you had three different teams announce their coaching hires all at once, and we'll get into that later. But man, it was like one after the other, and then finally we see where what Lane Kiffin decided to do. You still kind of see the coaching carousel playing out into today, so. The whole coaching carousel thing is taking a little bit of luster from the weekend of games, but
Yeah.
we're still going to talk about that. I mean, there's a lot and playoff scenarios. I have one that nobody is talking about, and it is. I mean, I don't think this one will happen, but it is a possibility. So we'll have to talk about that coming up.
And I'm excited to get into it because I don't even know what it is. So I'm excited to see how that pans out. But first off, let's dive into a brief rivalry week recap. And you know where I'm going to start off. We're going to start off with the Ohio State Buckeyes going into the big house after losing 4 straight, and we finally get the win. The weight that's off my shoulders is officially gone. And the key thing that I have to say about this game is that Ohio State was in control and it was a statement win. You can say what you want. Ohio State had their backs against the wall to start the game, go down 3-0. Julian Sayin throws an interception, which wasn't the best right off the jump. But then you think about it, the big thing that they needed was a touchdown. They go for it on 4th down, get the 35-yard touchdown to Jeremiah Smith, which was controversial. You can say what you want about that with him not having control of the ball over the end zone. But either way, I think this just proved a lot to what all the naysayers were saying about Ohio State this year, that they lost a lot of pieces on defense. They went in and they controlled Michigan's offense. You look at what Michigan did in the second half. Michigan only had barely over 30 yards of total offense in the second half of the game. And that's what the number 1 team in the country should look like.
I agree, and the thing about like the early in the game, Ohio State, Julian Sayin, in particular, and all jokes aside, I'm a root for Julian Sayin. He was a Bama commit, obviously left because Nick Saban retired, but I'm a pull for the guy regardless. But he faced a little bit of adversity to begin with the game, and that's something and this is no knock to Ohio State or their schedule. They've dominated who they've played every step of the way to this point, but since the Texas game, that was something he really hasn't had to face.
Mm-hmm.
So he faced adversity early in the game, and then he was able to overcome it. And it shows you it shows you how he's grown as a player and as a quarterback, but also the Ohio State team in general. Because I mean, even though they were only down 3-0, the way Michigan won the game last year was low scoring. So
Yeah.
you thought maybe to begin with, maybe for a little bit it was going Michigan's way, but then Ohio State was able to rebound and ultimately win the game. And on Michigan's side of things, look, Bryce Underwood is young. He's gonna have growing pains. You got to let the kid rip it.
Yeah.
This is a rivalry game, uh, playoff spot, Big Ten championship spot on the line. I understand what's at stake, and with that, let the kid rip it. I mean,
Yeah.
let him. If he throws an interception or two, good. He
Yeah,
gets that off.
and adding to that, they didn't let him do any of that in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, with your backs against the wall, Michigan had guess I don't know if you know this, Brian. Michigan had -1 yards of total offense in the fourth quarter.
That
I
doesn't
I,
shock me.
I know that Ohio State's defense is stout; they're legit, but you've like Bryce Underwood wasn't even given the opportunity to throw the ball. And that's where it kind of all shut down. Obviously, Marshall went down early, came back in the third, fourth quarter, second half. But dude, it was I loved it, and it's exactly what Ohio State had needed. Ohio State needed going into the playoff to prove right now, going into that Big Ten championship game, that they still are the number one team in the country.
And for sure, and going back to Michigan, I mean, I would have liked to have seen them use Bryce Underwood's legs more. I mean, he is a dual threat. He was the number one dual threat coming in. Um, because they're banged up at running back. I mean, Justice Haynes, who transferred from Bama to there, he's out. He's been out for a long time, and they're young on offense. So I mean, it to me, I think playing it as conservative as they did ultimately cost them the game, and even cost them just keeping it close. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. I'm with you. And now on to the next game. I'm going to speak first. I know you want to talk about this too, but
I know
Alabama
you
versus
you can speak
Auburn
first.
in the Iron Bowl. Obviously, Alabama winning 27-20. And I think the biggest thing for me in this game, you can say what you want, Kalen DeBoer has balls. That's what I have to say. Kalen DeBoer was as ballsy as it gets on that fourth down that won them the game with Ty Simpson. That was impressive to say the least. I'm like, why are they going for it? There's still plenty of time left on the clock. And all I have to say is Alabama, they can make a run in this year's playoff. What Kalen DeBoer showed late in that game, I know it was against Auburn. It's a rivalry game. This game's close every single year, and it was in Jordan Hare. So that's that. But Bama's late game composure and how they played in the red zone really proved it to me that they actually have what it takes to go far. And then Ty Simpson to Isaiah Horton. That was just Isaiah Horton with the hat trick with 3 tuds. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And to me, Alabama showed that, and we'll get into it later with the SEC championship game, but they have a lot of spark right now. And right now, all the momentum is going their way.
And the thing with that call, everything. Yeah, it had every reason to go Auburn's way because Auburn tied the game up. They had the momentum in the fourth quarter. The crowd's back into it, and they made that call not necessarily scared of the field goal kicking, even though the field goal kicking's been shaky all season, but because that's how much trust he has in his team to go out there and execute, and it shows how much trust he has in his defense. Because, okay, if you don't get it, the game's still tied, and you're forcing Auburn to still have to drive 94 yards to either kick a field goal or score a go-ahead touchdown. And their offense, even though they got a lot of yards in between the 20s, they didn't. A lot of their touchdowns or a lot of their points came from, I mean, we're not red zone. They couldn't put like sustained drives together. So the defense and the turnover, late game turnovers was what won Alabama the game. I mean, uh,
That fumble was huge. That was a game
fumble was
changer right
huge.
there.
The
The
Bray Over
pick,
pick. I mean, so Bama has been making plays when it matters. The only thing I would say is I wish, and this has been all season, I wish Bama had the could find a way to put teams away early because it was 17-0. He had a chance to go up 24-0 and really take take control of it and keep rolling. But I mean that's happened so many times this season. But yet they found ways to win, except for in the Oklahoma game. But in that game there was 3 turnovers. So I mean any one of those go our way, we win that game. But anyway, um, I mean it was the Iron Bowl. I enjoyed watching it. Almost gave me a heart attack. But I mean people want to say this is, 5-6 Auburn, you know, interim head coach, but this is what rivalry games are supposed to look like. No matter the records, records get thrown out. Uh, doesn't matter. This is what rivalry games are supposed to look like, in my opinion. And I mean, I don't care how bad of a team Auburn was. They lost so many one score games. If any of those have gone Auburn's way, they would have potentially been a
yeah, yeah,
playoff team.
yeah,
So because they had the defense, just not the offense. But
yep.
but for Alabama, and we'll get into it later with the SEC championship game, like you said. But a lot of momentum, but still some things to work on, and I'll explain that later as we get
Yeah.
when
And
we
I mean,
preview the game.
and you have time to work on that too. But I think now we need to ditch rivalry week and we need to get straight into this coaching carousel because there is some tea, baby. Come on now. Like, and
Man,
obviously, we have to start it off in the way that Lane Kiffin is leaving Ole Miss in the dirt. And I mean, it was the most Lane Kiffin thing to ever happen for Lane Kiffin to do this, to whoop up on Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. You saw that his players, it seemed like the sideline wasn't even with him throughout that game. Like it seemed like they weren't even winning that game for Lane. It was more that they were winning it for themselves. And I mean, dude, the only thing I can say about this is like, obviously going to LSU is a great move for Lane. LSU is a national brand. He's going to get more NIL money there than he would at Ole Miss. You can say what you want about that too. And that's how Lane's always moved in the offseason. He's big at picking up those recruits in the portal. And it came down to, if he stayed at Ole Miss, yeah, he can make a playoff run, but his heart wanted to be at LSU, and he wouldn't have been able to hit that recruiting window when the portal opens. So that was the big thing. And now LSU just completely juices up their offense for the next year. And I mean, like, Lane's going to go after those guys in the portal. They've got some big returners staying at LSU too. And it's just, to me, just the big thing is it's such a messy situation. And where my heart's at more is like, just like that scar that he's leaving on the Ole Miss fan base now, dude. Like, every single one of those fans, everybody's seen the videos. They are pissed off. And I mean, like, obviously, they get a good hire out of it too with upgrading Golding or to their right.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. At least they're staying in house, and he didn't jump ship with Lane too. And so I think that the big thing with that was keeping him so that the team doesn't jump ship for the playoffs. And a lot of players don't jump ship and try going with Lane when that portal window opens up. So that was part of the big thing, but it's just such a sticky situation.
Yeah, and while I hate the way Lane has handled this entire thing, it's I mean he if he wanted to be at LSU, this was what he had to do. He had I mean because and Nick Saban said it on College Game Day. A lot of other analysts and talk show hosts have said it out there, but the college football calendar is what created this situation, in my opinion. Now,
Yeah.
Lane being Lane, it magnified the entire thing. But the college football calendar, college football is the only sport in which you have off-season stuff still going on during the season, albeit the postseason and the other hundred and something teams that aren't in the playoff. While some of them are playing bowl games, most of them are thinking about next season at this point. But still, I mean, I don't understand it. Like,
It's the NCAA's fault. The structure is just so broken, where like you think if the portal didn't open up until after the playoff or after bowl season, it would be like none of this would be an issue right now. Like
well,
Lane would.
that and I mean that and even signing day. I mean, because we got National Signing Day on from Wednesday early signing days from Wednesday through Friday this week, and you still got to figure that out. So, and I describe it like this. So the NFL has a draft and the free agency and draft. Well, signing day is almost like the draft in a sense. You're getting your players from high school to college. You have and then transfer portal is like free agency and it's now in a sense. So, like I said, college football has their draft and free agency during the season, and it's just it's stupid in my opinion. And then if you move that stuff back, it gives the coaches and players a chance to breathe, get through the season, and then once the season is over, then take a step back and evaluate your options.
Yeah, but dude, it's just so messy. And then bouncing off the lane, getting off the Lane Kiffin subject for a second, going over to Auburn. I like the Alex Golish hire from USF. I know it's iffy, but with Auburn, I think this was a good hire for them. I mean, like Golish has built a super high scoring team at USF, and he's made them compete to that USF standard the last few years. And he has a great modern scheme. His offense is great. Then that'll appeal to some certain transfers trying to get into Auburn. And the other big thing is just like him jumping ship from USF to Auburn. The big thing that worries me, and this has happened in the past with Auburn, is now he needs to ramp up his recruiting in a powerhouse in the SEC. And can Alex Golish really recruit at an SEC type level. And I think that's one thing that we're going to see. I know there are a lot of questions like that with DeBoer going to Bama. Can he recruit the way that Saban did? Obviously, Golish isn't filling as big of shoes going to Auburn, filling the shoes of Hugh Freeze, but he needs to learn quickly how to recruit for that SEC talent.
Well, I think for Golish and you know, uh, bouncing off you, I mean, there were three of these vacancies filled within moments of each other. Golish going to Auburn, Summerall going to Florida, Silverfield going to Arkansas. I mean, it was all like at one time, and so, but with Golish, I don't think it's a matter of if he can recruit because Auburn is a place that can recruit well if given the right resources. I mean, Hugh Freeze, he was a recruit. He was a good recruiter, and he got SEC level talent. He just couldn't put it together on the field. For
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
then whoever, I mean, Golish, or I mean, whether it was Golish or whether it was Summerall, whoever became the next coach of Auburn, it's not about can you acquire talent. It's can you have that talent produce on the field when it matters most? How many times did we see Auburn, not just this year, but last year, and even going back to the Iron Bowl when it was 4th and 31, give up the plays that mattered the most, and it cost them games. So many one-score games that they have had in the Hugh Freeze era. Can Alex Golish turn around some of those results on the field? That's what it comes down to for Alex Golish and Auburn is can they execute on the field? And a
yeah,
lot of it, when it comes to recruiting and being able to acquire talent, I think it first starts with being able to somehow retain some of this roster that when the portal opens, it's going to be open season on. I mean, there are some teams out there, and I can guarantee you Alabama's going to be one of them, A&M's going to be one of them, that would love to try and get Cam Coleman, uh, some of those defensive stars that they
yeah.
have. I mean, it'll be open season on that
And
roster.
I think with the way that Golish runs his offense, though, I think that that could be appealing to some of those guys on the roster to stay. But
And another thing, and this will be my last point about it, he has to get quarterback right. That is one thing Hugh Freeze also struggled with. He brought in Peyton Thorne. Didn't work out the first year. Kept Peyton Thorne again. Still didn't work out. Then you go and get Jackson Arnold, who, for the life of me, is still getting sacked, even though he's not even in the games. And now, I mean, I'm sure he's still sitting back there having nightmares about getting sacked as many times as he did. But God rest his soul. But I mean, and then Ashton Daniels, who, in my opinion, based off the way he played, should have been the guy from the beginning of the season. But still, I mean, he didn't do enough to get it done. So he missed at quarterback several times, and evidently it cost him. And in the SEC, in the Big Ten, those two big conferences, you have to get the quarterback position right in order to have a chance.
yeah, no, I'm with you. And I want to go to one more head coaching hire. We can go to a few more as well. This one is straying away from the SEC and going over to my kind of area, the Big Ten. Pat Fitzgerald is back in the Big Ten, and he's at Michigan State now, and that's a hire that I love, dude. Like, you can say what you want about what he did at Northwestern and how he exited Northwestern with all the smoke that went on there a few years back. That was like 2 or 3 years ago at this point. But Fitzgerald is bringing the Midwestern roots back to Michigan State. He's got that defensive credibility, and he has proven experience in high pressure Big Ten recruiting areas of the game. So I think that he's going to hit the ground running at Michigan State. I'm not saying they're going to be great next year. I think they could be bowl eligible next year in his first year back there. But the big thing for Michigan State is that hiring Pat Fitzgerald buys them time to get back into that contention, get back into competing against their arch rival Michigan and Ohio State. And actually, because the last 3 years, dude, when has Michigan State ever been like nobody's worried about Michigan State right now. And I think that with Pat Fitzgerald there, it gives them a little bit more credibility in the Big Ten and on a national level.
And I kind of miss Michigan State being a contender in the Big Ten. It's they've always been like one of my favorite schools in the Big Ten just because of their logo alone. I mean, the Spartans didn't get any cooler than that. But I don't know a lot about Michigan State, but I do know is like for him, what it'll come down to is how quickly can he get talent in, at least enough talent to where he can. I don't want to say he'd be like at least in his first maybe year or two, he'd be able to get up to where Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon type level, Indiana type level. But if he can get to that second echelon or tier of teams like Illinois, like Penn State currently,
Iowa.
Iowa, if he can get to
Yeah.
that type of level in the first 2 years and then continue to build, I think he'll be just fine. But I guess the thing that like I don't know too much about is like what are the expectations at Michigan State because
And
and
I don't think they're too high. They
yeah,
can't be.
but the thing, and I've said this with a lot of teams, and you see this with teams that really in years past the expectations haven't been that high, but now with the 12 team playoff, with the transfer portal, with NIL, with the talent being more dispersed, and you see a lot more teams uh getting into the competition fray. Like you got Virginia with a chance to be in the playoff. I mean, Virginia the last decade has been awful. I mean, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt has
Yeah.
been the laughing stock of the SEC for decades. And now and I think they should be a playoff team, but there's not enough spots. I think the parity that you see across the sport right now is creating these expectations at programs that didn't have these expectations before
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, only time will tell. But back to the Fitzgerald line, like he's just a safe reset button for Michigan State. He's always rallied with his team, and I mean, only time will tell with how he ends up
but I mean,
out
why
there.
not Michigan State? I mean,
Yeah,
like I just mentioned, you see Virginia, you see
yeah,
Vanderbilt, you see Indiana. What Kurt Signetti has turned Indiana
yeah.
into.
In
I
two
mean,
years, his first year there got him to the playoff. Like it's
exactly. And
yeah,
so, I mean, with the like I said, the parity across the sport has given these programs that not weren't used to being football powers new life when it comes to the sport. So and that's my take on it. If anybody disagrees, that's fine. That's just my take on it.
no, I completely get it. And with these coaching hires too, dude, it's so spotty too because not everybody like all of these teams probably wanted the Lane Kiffins of the world, but you can't get them. So it's
No,
like some of
there's
these
only, there's
teams,
only one
yeah,
Lane Kiffin.
I know, but I'm just saying, like a lot of teams want a coach that can win now, and they want the fireworks instead of getting a coach that can slowly but potentially build that program up steadily from the ground up. So,
And that's
I
what
mean,
I think, and I won't spend too much time on this, but John Sumrall, I've been ever since he's been at Troy, I've been saying that sooner or later he will have a Power Five job, more than likely an SEC job. And he's got the Florida job, and he's more of a defensive guy. And I saw somebody today compare him, saying that he's not going to be Nick Saban or Kirby Smart, but the way he works and the way he operates, he's like a crazed defensive mind that just does nothing but puts his head down and works. I think that's good for Florida.
yeah, no,
I,
I'm with you.
I, I think out of the three that were announced yesterday, when it comes to Auburn, Arkansas, and Florida, I think Florida had the best hire. That's just my
Yeah, and
opinion.
I mean, you look at what he did for Troy for years, dude. Like
And then
Troy was
Tulane, and just
always,
in a couple
yeah,
years,
yeah. Like seriously, like I think that was a home run hire for them too. I would agree. I would agree. I'm with you.
for sure.
Um,
Well, now it's time to get to some playoff scenarios
yeah, no,
because
seriously, and we've got some big scenarios. I mean, like first off, one of the biggest, and I mean, either way, both teams are going to be in. But my biggest thing is say going into the Big Ten championship game next week, Ohio State loses. Obviously, Indiana's taking that number one spot, but then what does 2, 3, and 4 look like? And that's going to be spotty. Obviously, there's a lot of other stuff that's going to go on too with Ole Miss getting into the playoff. And I mean, like you look, they only had one loss. And dude, this year's playoff scenario, I feel like is even more shaky than last year's was.
yeah. Sorry, I was looking at something.
You're
Um,
good.
so the biggest thing I worry about as an Alabama fan, and we'll get into it on the game preview, is um Alabama's sitting right there at 10. Now, there's a chance they could move with the Iron Bowl win. They can move Bama up ahead of Notre Dame if that happens. which I don't see them doing just because Notre Dame also won over the weekend. But Bama has the better resume. Um, I would feel better about if they lost the SEC championship game, but because Bama's sitting there on the bubble at 10, if they lose the SEC championship and other things play out, like if BYU upsets Texas Tech or some crazy that's the biggest one. If you're an Alabama fan, you are rooting for Texas Tech. No matter the outcome of the SEC championship game, you are rooting for Texas Tech because if Texas Tech beats BYU, more than likely BYU is out.
Yeah, no, for sure. And dude, it's just like there's so many teams though too, like right on the bubble. Like we were talking about Vanderbilt, dude. Like you look at what they've done this year,
You see the
and it's like,
talk about
yeah,
Texas after beating A&M.
yeah, Texas too. Like you look at that, like Texas really bounced back their season, and it's like, dude,
And
it's
then
like,
even though Miami's sitting there in the rankings right now, we
what
don't
if
know
they
what they're going to
lose?
do with.
What if they lose this week?
Well,
That's
Miami's not playing this
oh,
week.
that's what I meant. Yeah, yeah, no, it's
So, I
yeah,
mean,
my bad, my bad,
there's a
my
chance.
bad.
I mean, I don't know. Like, and even though this shouldn't even be talked about because I don't think Ole Miss deserves it, we don't know what the committee, how the committee is going to handle the Lane Kiffin stuff. I mean, they lost their head coach, they lost their OC. I don't know what other offensive staffers they lost, but
Does that bump them back in the rankings? Like,
I don't think it should. I don't think you should punish the players for that because they didn't. I mean, they didn't ask for that. But we don't know. I mean, we saw him a couple of years ago bump Florida State out because of a quarterback injury.
yeah,
So I don't know what they're going to do there. But the biggest thing for me though, and this is this scenario or part of this scenario is being talked about, but the other part of the scenario isn't. And this is what I was talking about earlier. So Duke 7-5 Duke is playing Virginia in the ACC championship game. Okay. If 7-5 Duke were to win the ACC championship game, okay, you have five automatic bids with conference champions. Okay. Whoever right now, say if Virginia won, you'd have the SEC champion, Big Ten champion, Big 12 champion, ACC champion, and then your Group of Five champion, which would either be North Texas or Tulane in the AAs in the American.
yeah,
Well, if Duke beats Virginia, okay, that would bump Tulane or North Texas up to the fourth highest ranked conference champion. Then you look at it and go, okay, JMU's 11-1. If they beat Troy in the Sun Belt Championship, they're 12-1. And so that they would more than likely move JMU up to, and you'd have two Group of Five teams in.
yeah. I mean,
But what happens if Duke wins, but JMU gets upset by Troy? Because there's
yeah,
no way
that's
they're putting in an 8-5 Duke team.
yeah. Or dude, it's so spotty, and like that's
Who
the thing that's
becomes that fifth highest ranked champion?
and that's what sucks too is because like the committee loves their conference champions, and if you win a conference championship
It's a
at
it's
the
an
at the
auto bid.
yeah, and in the Power Four, you clear half the hurdles that you have to deal with. You get a first round bye if you're like, but it's just like, oh, dude, that's such a sticky
It comes
situation.
down like if that scenario happens where Duke wins, Troy upsets JMU, and then UNLV who's sitting at 10-2, but they're not ranked, but they're playing Boise State in the Mountain West. You have those three teams to really pick from, like
Yeah,
to be your
it's
to be your fifth highest ranked conference champion because it doesn't say power like your highest ranked Power Four champions and then your Group of Five champion. It's the
yeah,
five highest ranked conference champions, and so that's a very sticky situation, and not a lot of people are talking about it, or nobody's
yeah.
talking about it.
No, it's sticky, dude, and it just like the whole conference championship like obviously everybody wants to win their conference championship, and if you win, like again, you hurdle over all the problems and you don't have to deal with any issues, but you lose your conference championship game, and that's when the committee starts looking at your resume. What have you done all season? And that's when it really comes down to, do you really deserve to even be in there? Because I mean, obviously I think either or, like whoever loses the SEC title game, whoever loses the Big Ten title game, you're in. But
I
when I get
as a Bama fan, I don't feel too good about that right
I
now.
mean, well, we'll see.
But
We'll
but but
see.
but I'm just saying, and this has been talked about uh since before the Iron Bowl was played. And Bama, if Bama plays the SEC championship game and loses and gets left out, that'll be the end of conference championships.
Yeah.
Those will die right then and there because the SEC will say heck no, and we're getting you want. I mean, yeah, like they're the conference championships will die if Alabama gets left out if they lost the SEC championship game.
And speaking of conference championship games, can we just get to the point already where Notre Dame is in a freaking conference? Because it is
That's never gonna happen.
every year, dude, Notre Dame is going to get in. They went 1-2 against ranked opponents this year. And I'm just, dude,
But
it's, I mean,
I think Notre Dame's
I think they're deserving enough, but like,
I think they're a
it's,
championship football team.
and I
They've
mean,
gotten a lot better. I
and they've
mean,
proved that year after year. I mean, you look at them last year, they lost to NIU and they still were able to make it. So, that's just where it gets sticky. But then that goes right into, I don't know if you saw what Sark was saying after they beat A&M. He was talking about the same deal with Notre Dame not being in a conference championship last year.
well, he's
And
not playing in a conference championship either.
like,
So
that's what I'm saying. It's towards the argument of getting Texas in.
he shouldn't
And
have
he was,
got blown out by Georgia
yeah,
35-10.
exactly. I think that it might be time for us to get into some picks, Brian, because there's some big games this weekend, and specifically bouncing off that one chaotic game that you were talking about. I want to go right into the ACC championship game, Virginia versus Duke, and for me, I'm going to start off by saying I'm picking Virginia to win, and it all just comes down to the fact that they've proved to be steadier all season. They're more of a complete team. They're obviously higher ranked entering this ACC title game. And the only reason why Duke got here in the first place is because of a bunch of tiebreakers throughout the ACC.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why Duke's even in here. And I just think that Virginia has proved themselves throughout the season. Their running game, their O line, control the clock. And that's how they're going to keep Duke's playmakers off the field for 90% of the game. And Duke's season has just had way too many holes for me for them to show that they can win an ACC title game. And so that's why I'm picking Virginia to come out on top of this one. I think they win at the line of the scrimmage. They win the turnover battle, and I think Virginia is going to be in complete control of this game.
So I have a different outlook on this game. I'm picking Virginia to win the game, but I don't know enough about these two teams. I like Chandler Morris, the quarterback. I watched them beat Florida State when Bama couldn't. But I think, and I'm not a big conspiracy theorist guy, but I think the ACC is going to do whatever it can to make sure that they at least get one team in. If and that happens if Virginia wins the ACC championship game. Uh, Duke is like first in the league in holds. Holding penalties. I'm sure you'll see a call go against Duke here and there. I'm not in, like I said, I'm not in the theories, but it wouldn't shock me if you saw a lot of things go Virginia's way in this game. But I mean, I think Virginia is a really good team. They like you said, they've proven it. So I'm gonna pick Virginia probably by multiple scores. I really don't know what to think of this game. I don't know enough about these two teams except for the ACC is going to try to do whatever they can to make sure they get a team in.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And now to another conference that starts with A. We were just talking about it too. The AAC. We've got North Texas in Tulane playing in Tulane's backyard in New Orleans. It's practically a home game for Tulane. But for me in this game, I'm picking North Texas, man. I'm picking the mean green or whatever their freaking what's their mascot? I don't even.
The Mean Green.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. But the deal breaker for me in this game is North Texas. I was doing a little bit of research. Their red zone offense has been exceptional this year. And when you look at Tulane's been vulnerable in red zone defensive situations. So I think if you get North Texas the ball, they get in the red zone. I think however many times they're in the red zone, they're going to score every single one of those times because Tulane, time after time, has given up points in the red zone this year. They've just been vulnerable down there. And off like North Texas's offense to me, off of the little bit of research I did going into this game, I think that they're better. They have a higher scoring percentage than Tulane does. They're more efficient when it comes to play calling and just smart short yards execution. So I'm picking North Texas to win in New Orleans.
So this for this game to me, it comes down to the mental aspect of which team is less distracted, and I mean this in a sense of both these teams, their coaches are going somewhere else next year. Eric Morris has been hired at Oklahoma State, John Stonewall now at Florida, and I don't know how that plays an effect on the players. I mean, I mentioned this last week with Ole Miss and Mississippi State, and I picked Mississippi State. I fully eating crow on that one. But for this one, both of these teams' head coaches are leaving. How dialed in are they, especially with the playoff spot on the line? Um, I like John Sumrall. I think he's the better coach, and I think in a game like this, coaching it can come down to coaching. And I like Tulane. Uh, I really like Tulane. It's like they're a team of destiny almost. They've been in these type of games before, uh, with a playoff spot on the line, with a lot at stake. So I'm gonna go with Tulane.
All right, all right. I respect it. I respect it. We're flip flopping there, but now on to another championship.
We
We're
can't agree
so
all the time.
yeah. I know. To the Big 12 championship now. I'm taking Texas Tech over BYU. I know
Oh,
this
I'm
can
taking
be
Texas Tech too.
yeah, I know this can be a scary-ish trap game, but Texas Tech's offense has been explosive all year long against these Big 12 opponents, and just their tempo, the way their play calling, everything that they're doing offensively, I think is going to completely destroy BYU. The only way BYU wins this game is if they can control the clock and win the time of possession, which I don't think that they will. Texas Tech's resume just says enough for me to take them over BYU in this one.
Texas Tech, man, I tell you, I think they're one of the most dangerous teams in the playoff fold. Yeah, you can point to their Big 12 schedule, but man, they have just been playing with a different type of energy. Their only loss, I believe, was to I want to say maybe Arizona State. Yeah, a 4 point loss to Arizona State on the road, all the way out there in Arizona. And man, they've just been rolling. They dominated BYU the last time they played. Wasn't even like it was 27-9. And man, I like Texas Tech. I think they're one of the
No,
more I think they're one of the more dangerous teams in the playoff fold. And as a Bama fan, I'm rooting for Texas Tech because that helps Bama out if they lose the SEC championship game. So
yeah, no, I'm with you. Going back to G5, we got the Sun Belt title game. James Madison and Troy. This is a big game, but for me, I like we were talking about earlier. I'm gonna pick JMU. They're 11-1. I think they've had the stronger Sun Belt resume all year long. Troy's what 8-4. I
mhm.
don't like. I don't think they have enough to compete with what JMU's done. And I mean, JMU just has some balance on both sides of the ball, and I think that they're going to show all year long why they've been consistent every single game, all 4 quarters of the game. When Troy, on the other hand, hasn't. I think JMU wins this one big time.
Yeah, JMU has absolutely dominated the Sun Belt conference as a whole. I mean, every conference game I'm looking at their schedule now, they've lost, they've won every conference game by like two or more scores, maybe even three. Their only loss came to a 14-point loss to Louisville on the road early in the season. They went to Washington State, or they hosted Washington State, who was used to be a Power Five team, and they beat them 24-20. So I like JMU. They're 11-1. They're a 23.5 point favorite in this game over Troy. So yeah, JMU rolls. Like I said, that playoff scenario I was talking about, it's very unlikely that it happens, but it's still a scenario. But yeah, I think JMU rolls.
No, I'm with you. And we've got 2 games left, Brian. And obviously, I want my game to be the last game, but I'm going to show some humility. And
I
we're
mean,
going
it
to
don't matter
go,
to
I'm going
me
to show some humility and we're going to go over to the Big Ten championship at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, where Ohio State and Indiana. Why game day is not going there this weekend? Stupid. You've got the number 1
because
versus
of Big
number
Noon
2
kickoff.
team in the country. And you've got
Yeah,
Fernando Mendoza.
I remember all those SEC games that Big Noon Kickoff goes to. Oh
Yeah,
wait, they
yeah,
don't. So
exactly. It's valid. It's valid. But I mean, this game is just like this is arguably this is going to be the best game all season. You can say what you will. We've got the only two undefeated teams left with two of the top Heisman runners right now. Like these are the top two guys in Heisman contention, Fernando Mendoza and Julian Sayin. And I mean, like this is a heavy hitter, man. Like when you're looking at this game on paper, 7 p.m. This game is going to be everything that it plays out to be. I think it's going to be a lot closer than last year's game between Ohio State and Indiana. I think this year Signetti's really rallied the team together. Fernando Mendoza is a phenomenal leader. You look at what he's doing on the field. Obviously, I'm pretty sure he's still the Heisman front runner as
yeah,
of right now as we stand.
but
But like,
Julian Sayin and
yeah,
Diego Pavia are like right
yeah, right
behind him.
there. Yeah. But I mean, like, you just look at what Fernando Mendoza, he transferred in from Cal last year, and that man has just taken over a leadership role under Signetti. And I don't, he sounds a little funky. It's almost like Pat Mahomes leading a team. When you hear him talk, he doesn't seem like he would be a leader of men, but he really gets that team fired up. I mean, this is a key matchup right now. I mean, the one thing that it comes down to for me, though, is obviously I'm going to pick Ohio State. And I think that the big thing,
Jeez.
too, is Ohio State is going to be able to pressure Mendoza. I think that Mendoza is going to see pressure like he hasn't seen before all year long. He's going to have guys like Arvell Reese, Caden Curry, that just a few guys to name off the list. But I think that, I mean, like, when you look at it, it really is a coin flip on paper, though. I'm not as nervous going into this game as I was going into the game against Michigan. Obviously, I'd love to win a Big Ten championship, but I mean, Ryan Day has won 16 straight games. The ball is in his court for this game. So if they lose, I'm going to be pretty upset, obviously. But this is the biggest game of Signetti's career, and I think he falls short.
So another game that, in my opinion, comes down to the mental side of things. Both of these teams are in no matter what happens. So which team wants it more? Which team is more locked in to want to win this game and secure that first round bye? Because I don't know if now I don't know if whoever loses this game if they're still a lock to get a bye or not or to host. Um, which team wants it more? And I I just like, and nothing against Ohio State or Ryan Day. I just like the fire that Indiana has been playing with all
I
season.
respect it. I respect it.
Like
I
that they
do.
have been playing in a different mode. They went into Eugene, Oregon on the road, beat them. They handled the adversity at Penn State in a hostile environment, even though it was without James Franklin and still it was a tough game. It was one of those games where you needed your playmakers to step up, and they did. Season was on the or undefeated season was on the line. They did. I like Fernando Mendoza. You know how when I knew he was a dog when he went to Jordan Hare Stadium last year with the Cal Bears and beat Auburn on the road. Okay, say what you want about Auburn, but Cal is pretty average.
Yeah.
So he went to Auburn and willed himself to win there. So
Hey, I
I'm
mean,
pick
Fernando Mendoza last year even rallied against Miami, bro. Miami got saved by the refs in that game. I'm pretty sure they won, but that game was like a shootout. Cal versus Miami last year, and Fernando Mendoza cooked, dude. That was when I first heard his name. Was dude.
I'm picking the Hoosiers. Fernando Mendoza rises to the occasion. Kurt Signetti has that team ready to roll. Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman this weekend.
Okay, okay,
That's my prediction. I'm picking the Hoosiers.
okay, okay. I can respect it. But now into our final game, a game that you're pretty excited about, or nervous, or both.
More
Or
nervous than
yeah,
anything.
yeah, and I completely understand. But the SEC title game between Georgia and the Alabama Crimson Tide. You look at this game, and I mean, right now Georgia's favored, and in many
Like two and a
books,
half, I
yeah,
think.
I mean they're favored. But the thing for me is Alabama has had the recent head-to-head edge in these tight meetings with Georgia. I think this one's going to be really close.
We're
And
undefeated against Georgia in Atlanta.
exactly, and that's the big thing too. And I know Georgia's defense is stout. I know they held Georgia Tech last week to 9 points. I think it was 16-9. Like, their defense looked great. But for me, I just think that with the playmakers that Alabama has, I don't care who Ty Simpson's throwing the ball to. For me, I mean, Alabama already won this game this season. that for me, I know it's hard to beat a team twice, but I think Alabama does it in Atlanta. They do it again. Um, and I mean, I think it's going to be close, though, and I think it's going to be low scoring. I don't know what the over under is for this game, but I think that Georgia's defense is going to really slow you guys down and try to limit those high power explosive plays. But I do think that you guys come up on top in Atlanta.
Well, so the 2 years ago, we were picking this game with Simone, and I picked Georgia, and Alabama won the game. But this year, this game has a little different vibe to it because Georgia's in regardless. So, I mean, I know Kirby's not sitting there telling his team to let Alabama win the game. That's not what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a hard fought team of a game of these two teams who want to win their conference, want to win the conference championship game, especially a Georgia team that lost to this team at home. They're chomping at the bit for revenge. I don't I don't know how much the trends and the history plays a factor in this game. One thing I will say is last week against Georgia Tech, Georgia's offense didn't look all that great to me, especially against
Yeah.
it was a struggling Georgia Tech defense. But in recent month or recent weeks, neither has Alabama's offense. Ty Simpson's looked a little off. The run game is improving, but now with Jam Miller out, I don't know who's going to step up into that role. I mean, I think he's likely out. It hasn't really been announced yet. But man, this Alabama team I think is built different than last year's team. Ever since the Florida State loss, when their backs have been against the wall, they have they have risen to the occasion. They've won games that they should have lost. The South Carolina one, for example, is one that comes to mind. Uh, so maybe Missouri on the road was also one that could have gone either way. Now they lost to OU at home, but I mean when you play so many tough games, you're bound to get bit once or twice. I'm picking Alabama. Not because
Roll Tide.
no, I think there's more at stake for Bama in this game, and I expect them to come out and play like that. I still expect a hell of a game from Kirby Smart in Georgia. I mean, I know he's not going to be his team is not going to be backing down and loafing because they're in no matter what. But I think with Alabama's with what I think is Bama doesn't want to put their fate in the hands of this committee.
Yeah.
We don't know
Yeah.
what they're going to do with Alabama if they lose the SEC championship game, and it all depends on what happens around them too. But this is a chance for Alabama to say, "Hey, we're in. You can't take us out." And if they win this game, they either host a playoff game or they jump up enough to get a bye. I don't know if they'd be able to jump from 10 to 4 or 3 to get a bye, but we'll see.
Yeah, I
But
mean it'll be close. And sorry,
yeah,
I need to wash my mouth with soap after saying RTR. But the one thing I will say in this game is similarly to the Ohio State Indiana game in the Big Ten title game. It's a toss up. It's a literal coin toss. Anything could happen. And one thing I will say is, in my opinion, if Georgia can control the time of possession in this game, I think they win. But I don't think they're going to be able to. So
and the thing is the last time these two teams played in Athens, and I was at that game in person, incredible atmosphere. Being a night game in Athens, that was incredible. Um, except for being barked at, that was the that was the catalyst. That was kind of weird. But anyway, Bama controlled the time of possession by like almost 10 minutes more than Georgia.
exactly.
So I don't know how this game is going to go. Honestly, it's a toss up. This game is because and both of these teams are beaten up too. Injuries on the offensive line, it injuries to depth players. Um, which team is able to, I guess, hobble to the finish line? I guess is because both of these teams are banged up, man. That's the nature of playing in the SEC. You know, we don't get to load manage our players against Rutgers and Northwestern
Hey,
and
just wait till we go back to back, buddy. Just wait.
well,
Wait till you see how sweet it is.
Well, I'm ready. I'm ready for this weekend. I'm ready for all the dust to settle on the field. I'm looking forward to seeing the 12 best teams get in on Sunday. I think it's going to be an incredible weekend.
No, no. I mean, this is one of the best weekend. I mean, it is one of the best weekends. We're at the time of the year where the playoffs just around the corner, and we're that much closer to that national title game. But it also means we're that much closer to the off season, which is another scary thing. But we're not going to talk about that because the season's obviously still going. But dude, like this is the best weekend ever, dude. It doesn't get any better than this.
And before we get out of here, how about our NFL teams, the Bears and the Broncos, the number one seeds in each
Who would have
conference?
thought? Who would have thought? The one thing I will say is I work downtown Chicago for those of you that don't know, and everybody that I work with is drinking the Bears Kool-Aid right now. They're all like, we're going to the bowl, we're going to the Super Bowl. The thing is, I have been a Bears fan for too long where this team has let me down time and time again. I will not be on that train until and if the Bears need to beat the Packers both times we play them, and we play them 2 times the next 3 weeks. We play at Green Bay this weekend, then we play the Browns, and then we host the Packers. So the Bears need to win both those games against the Packers for me to even have any hope that they could make a Super Bowl. But everybody in
Well,
Chicago right now, I'm telling you, they think the Bears are Super Bowl bound. I will tell you that much.
the Broncos, they gave me a scare Sunday night
Yeah.
against
Yeah.
the Commanders. They came out with a win. They play the Raiders this Sunday uh, in Las Vegas. I'm not too worried about there because they're just awful. Um, Broncos' toughest games come up at the end of the season against they play Jacksonville. They do play the Packers, the Chargers, and Kansas City once again, who they've already beaten. If Denver can win the next two games, more than likely they'll win the division. Um, and man, that'd be sweet
Yeah.
after watching
Unlike
Kansas
unlike
City win it so many times in a row.
unlike the Bears, our division is still wide open right now.
I mean,
Like,
ours is too. I mean,
yeah,
The Chargers are no slouch, and you can't rule out Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately,
yeah.
and
No,
Andy Reid. So,
I
anything
mean,
else before we get out of here?
I don't think so, but dude, it's such a sweet time of year. But
Roll Tide, my friend.
go Bucks, OH, let's go.
By this time next week, we'll be talking about who's in the playoffs, who's not, and
Yeah,
hopefully you have a happy Bryant over here because the Bama's in the playoffs. If not, I'm gonna go
yeah,
scorched earth on this committee. So,
yeah, yeah. I won't be surprised.
so.
Thank you for tuning in.